You are standing in front of your refrigerator, staring at a sealed container of food. The date printed on the plastic says it expired yesterday. For most people, that date triggers an immediate reflex. Surveys show over 90% of consumers will throw perfectly good foods straight into the trash because they are terrified of those tiny printed numbers. This chart shows the devastating scale of that panic. Exactly 1/3 of all the food produced globally is wasted along the supply chain and thrown away by consumers. We treat the printed date as an absolute deadline for our survival, but that ink is largely unregulated, and deadly, invisible foodborne pathogens do not own a calendar. To protect our health and stop this catastrophic waste, we have to abandon our blind trust in printed labels and learn how to actually interrogate the physical reality of our food. For most of human history, people relied entirely on their own senses to know if a meal was safe. But as populations moved off farms and food production industrialized, we lost that daily physical connection to our supply chain. By the 1970s, shoppers were so disconnected from the source of their meals that they organized grassroots campaigns demanding visible freshness codes on packaging. This created the system of open dating we use today. But the resulting system is a mess of contradictions. Take the Best Buy label. It is nothing more than a manufacturer's guess for when a product is at its peak flavor. They use it to protect their brand's reputation, not your life. Then there is the sell-by date. This is actually a private internal communication intended solely to help grocery store clerks rotate stock on the shelves. It was never meant to be read by the consumer. The use-by label is the rare exception. It is one of the only terms legitimately tied to safety, specifically for highly perishable goods like fresh meat and unpasteurized dairy, where harmful bacteria can multiply rapidly. The vast majority of these labels are just unregulated suggestions. Relying on them to determine if a shelf-stable can of beans or box of pasta will hurt you is a massive miscalculation. Heavily processed or properly canned items can survive decades past their manufacture date without becoming biologically lethal. Consider military field rations from World War II. When items like these compressed biscuits and sticks of chewing gum are stored in stable, perfectly dry environments, they remain entirely safe to consume 80 years later. The real consequence of extreme age and preserved food is harmless. Structural carbohydrates like pectin slowly break down, turning the food mushy. Colors fade. Flavors dull. You will not find a spontaneous appearance of deadly pathogens. An intact package possesses no internal self-destruct sequence. If the physical barrier holds, the food inside might taste terrible, but it will not kill you. That physical barrier is everything. A tin can is a microscopic fortress, specifically engineered to lock sterile contents inside and keep external biological threats out. But when that metallic fortress is dented, rusted, or improperly sealed at the factory, it becomes a perfect breeding ground for a lethal bacteria called Clostridium botulinum. This pathogen thrives in low-acid, oxygen-free environments like a sealed can, aggressively metabolizing the food. As it digests, it continuously releases trapped gases. Because the system is sealed, those gases have nowhere to escape. This creates immense internal pressure, resulting in a hard swell. The rigid metal walls physically warp, bowing outward into a tight, firm bulge. If you were to open a compromised can, you would encounter immediate sensory warnings, an aggressive outward hiss of escaping gas, or cloudy fermented liquid violently spurting onto your counter. A physical deformity in the packaging is a definitive biohazard warning. It confirms extreme internal microbial activity that no printed expiration date could ever predict. If you find a bulging can, you cannot reliably save it by simply boiling the contents. While extreme heat can destroy the botulism toxin, a heavily contaminated can is a severe biohazard that requires safe, immediate disposal. Instead, practice safe opening procedures for every item in your pantry. Inspect the metal seams for deep dents. Listen for a faint inward hiss, the sound of air rushing in to equalize a good vacuum seal. And if you need to check the smell, wave the air toward your nose rather than sniffing directly. Throwing out perfectly sealed, intact goods just because an arbitrary year has passed costs consumers billions of dollars and creates mountains of unnecessary environmental waste. The rules for modern kitchen survival are simple. Ignore the ink. Interrogate the physical fortress. When in genuine doubt, throw it out.